it's Liz Yuille from Old Staples Crafts. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator based in the UK. Thank you very much for joining me again today, and we are on the One Stamp at a Time blog hop. So do remember to hop over to my website, which is linked below, and it will take you to the post for this project, and then you can look at everybody else's projects from there. We have a subject or theme this time of celebration milestones. So I'm looking at birthday, but you could use the same project for other events as well. I'm using two stamp sets. I'm using the Modern Heart stamp set from the annual catalogue. That's on page 31, and it is a $1 Million Achiever stamp set from Steffi Helmskrott. I will not have pronounced that right. I'm sorry, Steffi. But yes, so that's in the annual catalogue. And then the other stamp set I'm using, which is also a $1 Million Achiever stamp set, is the Label Me Bold. This is in the mini catalogue, is on page 36, and it's Jasmine Schultz, inspired by, stamp set inspired by her. And as I say, you've got various sentiments here. So you've got thank you, great for the moment, for you, for me, from me, hello, happy birthday, congratulations, and well done, as well as some little backgroundy bits. So these are the stamp sets. They are both red rubber, so really nice cling stamp sets, and I think they're both great. So I have actually got the stamps that I'm using out, but they are just fantastic. Again, we've got some backgroundy bits as well as some sentiments and the main heart, and there's a smaller heart there. There is also a tiny heart there, so you can have your choice of hearts. So what's the project that I've made? Well, because it's one stamp at a time, we obviously do two projects. So I've got a card, and I've also got a little gift box, and this was inspired by my cats needing their worming tablets, and this is the box that the worming tablets come in, and I thought that's an interesting little box. Why don't I have a look at making something similar? And this is my similar. I will explain how I've made it when we get that far. I'm going to start with the card, and then we'll go from there. So I am using, I've just realised I haven't got out my card, which is useful. So let me just grab a suitable sized piece of card, which is that's just one of my scraps, and it's shimmery white cardstock. I'm using this because it's great for watercolour, and I will be using an aqua painter, so it's always a good idea to use either watercolour paper or the shimmer white if you're going to use an aqua painter. I've got my Stamparatus, and I'm just popping my piece of card in. Do be careful with these magnets. They are very strong, and with red rubber you don't need the foam insert, so they are going straight onto a magnetic base, so they can pinch. So do be careful and don't let them get too close together, or they could smash together and actually smash. And you don't want little fragments of magnet floating around. So do be careful. I have got washi tape around mine. The washi tape almost isn't strong enough for the strength of the magnet, but it does help a bit. So I've used my embossing buddy because I am going to be heat embossing. So I've inked up my Versamark and press that down, and I like to just make sure that I've really got that well inked, particularly if I'm watercolouring, because I want to make sure that I've got a good dam system going. I will show you what I mean by that in a moment. So let me lift that up. Pop that to one side. Take the magnets away. and then I can get rid of that. I will be needing it in a moment, but not for the moment. So bring in my white embossing powder, just checking which end it was. That's the one problem with using embossing Versamark ink on white cardstock, is it's quite difficult to see it. Okay, and you do want to make sure you haven't got any stray bits of embossing powder that are inside any of those triangles. So a quick flick on the back normally gets rid of anything really in the wrong place. Pop my lid on and grab my heat gun, get that warmed up while I bring in my trusty cheese board. Those of you who have followed me for any time know I use a trusty cheese board for heat embossing for a number of reasons. A, it means I don't get burnt fingers from holding on to whatever I'm embossing. It helps reflect the heat back up onto the paper, and yeah, that's kind of it really. So you can heat, when you're doing heat embossing, you can either heat from on top or underneath. Different people will tell you that the other one is better than the other. I just like to try and make sure that I heat from both sides so that my cardstock is flat, and using my cheese board helps with that. Okay, so that is that done. So my cheese board is quite warm, so it's reflected heat back up onto the card. Right, okay, I have got a real rainbow of colours here. And I mean a real rainbow. So we've got Poppy Parade, Pumpkin Pie. Let me bring my parcel in. So Poppy Parade, Pumpkin Pie, Daffodil Delight, Granny Apple Green, Blueberry Bushel and Gorgeous Grape. So how do I do the colouring? I'm actually going to start in a slightly odd place, only because I'm not going to make you sit through the whole colouring, because once you understand how I've done it, it's kind of easy. So I'm going to use Blueberry Bushel purely because it's a nice bold colour for you to see. What I have found works well is if you pick up a little bit with your aqua painter, pick up a little bit of the colour, decide where it's going to be, and then just pop a kind of background layer of that colour, so you know which area you're working in. And this becomes more important when you're over here, where it's a little more, it's a little less obvious where your line's going. I mean, obviously you can choose the line that suits you, but if you're trying to do two the same, which of course you will need if you're going to do both projects, it really does help if you know where you're putting the colour. Now I am going to be quite generous with the amount of water I put down. Oops, I've gone slightly over. It doesn't matter if you go slightly over, purely because it is a rainbow, so if it merges together, it's not the end of the world. But also because the colours are rainbow, in rainbow colour, the blue would run into the green anyway, so it really doesn't matter too much. But do get a reasonable amount of water onto your card, because what you want to try and do is, now I've got a little bit of re-inker in my lid, but this is the sort of effect that you really want, where it just bursts, because then you get a really nice fade. And the easiest way to get a really nice burst is if you've got a reasonable amount of water. So you can now see why I need my dams, because I want to keep the colour as much as possible within the triangle. And you can just keep adding a little bit more colour as you go. And until you've got the effect that you're looking for. Now, some of them do burst better than others. The darker the colour, the more burst you're going to get, but you get what I mean. And if you want to kind of hold it up, that also encourages the colour to blend down. So I then grab just a rag. This was a face cloth at one point. It is not now, it is a rag. And you just keep going. So you then go on to your next colour. So if I bring in my gorgeous grape, again, I would pick up a little bit of the colour just so that I can see where the edges are. And you see, I have to concentrate when I'm doing this. If I'm getting into a small area, I really have to concentrate. My brain can't do talking and concentrating on a small area at once, apparently. Who knew that? And then, as I say, just add more water. And I've gone slightly over, not a problem, but you don't want them to merge a lot, is really what I'm saying. And then again, I've got a bit of re-inker, and I can just add my colour. And again, I've gone slightly over. It doesn't matter. You are looking for that kind of slightly merged ombre effect, and you just keep going. So in true Blue Peter fashion, that's not what I was looking for, that's what I was looking for. In true Blue Peter fashion, I have prepared some, because you really don't want to watch me doing two of those. Okay, so let me bring in the ones I've already done. Now, just for a compare and contrast, famous last words, I've got to find what I was looking for. I did do, and I thought I had kept it to one side, I did do one with watercolour paper. When I find it, if I find it before the end of this video, I will show it to you. I thought I had it just there, and it's gone walkabout. Oh well, if I find it, and I don't find it before the end of the video, I will photograph it anyway, because it has a slightly different look and feel, so it is another option. Right, okay, so let us finish off the card, and then I will show you how to do the box, which is not difficult. So for the card, I've got a piece of Whisper White. I have got my dotty, let's bring in my original, I've got my dotty smudgy panel, and what I'm going to use to ink it up are my markers. So I did work from the centre out, because with your markers you don't want to infect one colour with another to the same degree. So you want to start with your light. So for me, that is my Daffodil Delight, and I'm starting sort of middle-ish. Then you can work out from there. So I've got Pumpkin Pie, and I'm using the side of my marker. Then I've got Poppy Parade, and again I'm using the side of my marker. These colours you can overlap a little bit when we get to the other side, not so much. So Granny Apple Green I can overlap with the yellow, the Daffodil Delight, because they are, this is a darker colour. This has got yellow in it, is basically what I'm trying to say. Blue is a primary colour, so green has a bit of blue in it, so that is fine. But this is quite a strong colour, so if you pick up a bit of green, the Granny Apple Green, it probably won't matter. You probably don't want to get any blueberry bushel onto your gorgeous grape, or if you do, or you suspect you have, you want to just, let's use a bit that I know will, you just want to brush it out. So I've now got my colours on, and all I need to do is breathe on it just to make sure that it is, you know, moist enough to stamp. Stamp once, come up, breathe on it again, just to reactivate that ink a bit. And again, just so that you get that fade. Now this one will be quite pale, but it's still there or thereabouts with the other colours that are around. Still trying to find the watercolour version of the heart. Never mind. Right, so grab one of your hearts and some dimensional. Let me find a sticky pair of scissors. These are ones I keep just for adhesive. And just add, actually before I do that, let's stop there for a moment because, might need another packet. I quite like the idea, if this is for a special birthday, of adding some rhinestones onto my heart. So these are just the basic rhinestones. This is the old packaging, you can tell I've had this for a while. So you literally just take your pick tool, and anywhere where there is a crossover, add a gem. You do get lots of the small ones, so this would be for a... Someone said to me once they have embellishment worthy friends. You know what I mean? People you're prepared to add a few extra bits and pieces onto your cards for. This would definitely be for an embellishment worthy friend. So let me grab a new packet. I've got one or two strays. Let me see if I can get that one off. No, apparently not at the moment, so I'll just keep going with ones that I know I can get off the sheet. So, as I say, just wherever there is an intersection that is not on the edge of your triangle, I've just added a single rhinestone. Oh, I've missed one. There we go. So, definitely needs to be embellishment worthy because you have added quite a few rhinestones. And then just add dimensionals. Where are we? 17 minutes, good grief. Dimensionals to the back, and pop that onto your card like that. Press it down from the back. Now I need the happy birthday from Label Me Bold. The dotties were from Label Me Bold as well. I am using just Memento Black and a scrap of Whisper White. So this is just an offcut, and my scissors apparently. So I'm going to stamp this a few times. If you want to do it really, really black the first time, you can use StazOn. I just don't like the whole cleaning up after using StazOn thing. I would rather, if I can, use my Stamparatus and just put more layers of the Memento on. So that is really quite black now. Oops, and get Memento on your lid as well. So if I take that off, pick that up, get rid of my Stamparatus again. I'm going to leave that to dry for a bit because it is quite damp, and move on to the box just to do that while we are waiting. So I have a piece of basic black card that is 5 3/4 inches by 6.5 inches. Let's not squish that too much. Where did I put my take your pick? There we are. So 5 3/4 by 6.5. So on the long side, so with the 6.5 at the top, we're going to score at 3 and at 6, and then we're going to score on the short side at half. And just burnish those. There we go, bone folder. Now, I worked out which die I needed simply by looking at the size and shape of one of our, I've buried that, no I haven't, one of our pillow boxes, which are in the annual catalogue under the packaging section. And I just looked at this curve here to find my oval layering die that was as near to that curve as I could get. Simple as that. So having scored everything, you then just want to trim away your some of your edges. Sorry, I'm being a bit all over the place with this, aren't I? Now, that corner I'm just going to cut straight across, and then this thin edge, it's actually easier for me and hopefully you to see if I come in from this side. I'm just going to score away, cut away that 1/2 inch. I'm not going to worry about the top for the moment, because what we need to do is, and it doesn't matter which side you do it from, but I quite like doing it from this side, you want to find your midpoint. Now I've got a T rule which does help with this, so I know this is 3 inches, so I can come in with a pencil and mark at 1.5, which is going to be on the kind of liddy bit, and then just come a bit further down and mark another 1.5, just so that you've got 2 points of reference. And then grab your die and line up, by eye is fine, those pieces, and then grab a little bit of washi tape and hold that die in place. Now I have marked where the middle of my die is, and again I just used my grid paper to work that out and did it basically by eye. Then pop your washi tape onto the die, and I'm popping it onto the bits that I'm not going to be keeping. So these are the scrap bits in the corner here. Let's pop that on a bit better. And then grab your Big Shot and line up your plates, and I will be taking this over to my Big Shot in a moment, so that this plate, this edge, doesn't come any further than about halfway on the oval, so you'll get a partial die cut. Bear with me one very quick moment. And I do go backwards and forwards a couple of times just to make sure, and then there we are, it's cut it away. So that's that. We do need the die again for just one more thing. Let me get rid of those bits, get rid of that, and get rid of the bits that are now stuck to my fingers. So again, with your die kind of lined up on this line here, you want your piece of paper straight. Just come to the edge here, and with your, take your pick or your stencil from your stylus from your scoring board, just follow that line round on both sides. If you could see me, I'm standing here with my tongue sticking out in concentration, desperately trying to get this done in 6 minutes before my camera decides it's bored. Oops. Right, there we go. Tear and tape is going to be your friend for this. So I'm just going to trim away this piece here, because that is going to get involved in the closing mechanism otherwise. I just want my 1/2 inch hole punch as well, because we'll be using that in a moment. Just gently help that score understand that it's going to be bent, and then get your tear and tape and add that to your two sides. Make sure it's pressed well down. Grab a pointed something. And pull up your tear and tape. Oh, come along. This is because my brain now knows that I'm against the clock, because my camera doesn't like recording for more than half an hour at a time. And frankly, I can't imagine anyone would want to be watching me for more than half an hour at a time. Do remember, while I'm sorting this out, that if you don't already subscribe, you can by hitting the bell, hitting the subscribe button in the bottom, and then hit the alert bell. Right, so just line up your bottom edge and your sides. And yes, if you hit the alert bell as well, you will get an alert when I post a new video. Okay, so I want this to be the front. So, yep, so this will be going over that way. This one, therefore, I want to have a little thumb hole in. So pop your 1/2-inch circle punch in and just punch a little bit out, because that one's going to go in first. So when you then want to open, it's much easier to get it out. And then pop that in over the back. And then with your other piece of, I'm trying to find my black, there they are. With your other heart, which I've just fussy cut, so I literally just cut round the edge. Just grab some black dimensionals. You can use ordinary dimensionals, but I have black, so I'm going to use them. Now, do remember, if you're in the UK and you want any of these products, you can get them at my online store, which is linked below and over on my shop, on my website. So please do look that up. It really does help me bring these videos to you. And then pop this down. I should have rubbed out the pencil marks, but I didn't. So pop that on there. And then grab some more of your rhinestones, and then I'm going to have one down here. I'm not going to put quite as many on this side, or this heart, and then one just there. So that's that done. Then to finish off our card, we need a piece of Poppy Parade and some adhesive. And I haven't forgotten I need to do my happy birthday. I know I've still got to do that. Far too much adhesive, but never mind. And then just pop that on and press from the back. 1/2 sheet of basic black card scored in the middle, and then burnished, and again adhesive on the front of that, and then pop this piece on top of that and press from behind. Good grief, I've got less than a minute and a half. Can't find my strip. There we are. So for this, I'm just literally snip, snip, snip. Do remember, if you've got this far and you've enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to leave a comment, I will try and reply to any questions. I'm looking for my black dimensionals again. Can't find them. Oh well, I shan't use my black dimensionals. I'll use white ones. So yes, I always answer questions. I'm finding that I'm getting lots of comments, which is lovely. It does mean I can't answer all of the comments. So I thank you very much for leaving them. They do make a difference. So for the inside, let me just show you what I've done, because we are going to run out of time. I've just used the small heart and one of the sentiments with Poppy Parade. So let me show you again the two finished cards and, well, pieces. So there we are. This is for my one stamp at a time